Hey Chloe, so to try to keep you on track for what we're doing portraits, which I think you already knew. You're gonna need to take a picture of yourself, making a funny face makes it better, and you're gonna wanna break it down to at least 8 inches tall. So it should be 8 inches tall. If you need help, you can email me the photo and I'll do it for you, and I'll print it out and then I'll send it back home. But you're gonna need a photo of yourself with drastic lighting, making a funny face. And then you're gonna grid it out 1 inch. So these squares are 1 inch, and then on a piece of tracing paper, which I will give you, you're gonna grid out to be 1.5 inches. So it would be 1.5, 3, 4.5, 6, and kind of work your way down that way. Then from there, we're gonna grid out your face so it looks something like this. So when we grid, you don't want to put in every detail and you don't want to shade it. You just want to put out, like, here's the contour of this shadow. That's this shadow here. And so we're just kind of contour it out. And then for the eyes. So I'm not shading it, but you can kind of see how it works out. Don't be afraid to break this into smaller sections. So if I'm having a hard time with the eye, I would maybe do another half here, and then do a half here, and kind of make it work out. So the reason why we're doing on tracing paper is because then we could put pastel on the back, which I will also give you, and then we could put it on our black paper, and I'm gonna trace it out. So using a colored pencil or a regular pencil, I'm using white right now, but it'd probably work better if I use a different color. And so I'm tracing this out, and you would trace out obviously the whole thing, but when I move this away, you can see I have a nice blueprint for my eye. And so now it's time to start adding in the white. You can erase with colored pencil. It's very hard to do and it leaves a big mess. So we're gonna try not to erase. And the way we do that is just by going really slow and taking our time. So when I look at the eyeball, the first thing I notice is this big white glint. So when we're drawing on white paper, normally we put in our 6 values first, but since we're drawing on black paper, we're gonna put it in our 1 values first. And so I'm gonna put in that little glint right here. I'm gonna try to get it to be about as bright as it is in the photo. And then what I'm gonna start doing is, instead of finishing off the eye, I'm gonna look for the next brightest area, which looks like it's like this space around the pupil there. So I'm gonna start putting this in. I'm not pressing hard because you can see how strong the white is. And with this one, it looks like it kind of goes from here all the way to the corner of the eye. So I'm gonna put that in, but I'm gonna go very, very, very slow, and I'm gonna layer up to it. If you press hard and you make a mistake, you're in trouble. But if you just go real slow, and then what happens here, it starts bright, but then it fades out. So again, I'm gonna go very slow. I'm gonna barely touch the surface of the page. I'm scribbling all over the place. I'm trying to hide my pencil strokes. And then up closer to the eye, it's a little bit brighter. So I'm gonna kind of brighten it up a little bit. Now around the pupil, you can see that this is pure black, but around here it's not quite pure black. So what I'm gonna do is just very, very lightly add in a little bit of white around this, and then I'm gonna fade it out as much as I can. Oops, sorry. I'm gonna fade it out as much as I can. And then so from a distance, that looks like an eyeball right away. Then once I get that kind of together, I'm gonna start looking for other bright areas. So like right up here, this is super bright. So although I didn't transfer it over, but I'm just gonna start very, 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 very lightly. I may even hold the pencil all the way back here, but I'm gonna start lightly putting in, scribbling. And so if I want this area to be super bright, like a 1 value, then I would not press hard. I would just go over it again and again and again, and we just keep layering, keep scribbling until it gets brighter and brighter and brighter. So it's gonna take you a long time to figure out how to layer. If you're a painter, which I think you are, it's much easier. So think watercolor. So if you want a bright red, you don't pull bright red right from the tube, you kind of add to it. And so if I have a cheek that looks about here, and so I'm gonna start laying in the cheek. Once I get it close to a value that I like, I'm gonna widen out my strokes. And so as this area is getting brighter, so is this center area. And if I do that enough, you'll see it starts looking somewhat like a round cheek. So you can start to see the cheek starting to develop, especially if I fade this out. And then I start connecting my lights together, and you start seeing it's starting to look like a cheek. The brightness here, the light's catching up here, you're starting to see the eye. And so that's in 5 minutes or less, that's kind of how it works. So if you need anything, let me know, email me, take pictures of your progress, and we'll go from there.